If your landing page is missing the mark, it doesn't matter how fantastic your product is, potential customers are just not going to give it a chance. Now, why is that? Well, because a successful e-commerce landing page is so much more than just showcasing the product itself. You need to be able to understand and address any concerns that they may have, making it really clear why your product is going to be the perfect fit for them. Now in this video, I'm going to go over a client case study where we worked for a gaming chair manufacturer, and we took their kind of simple standard landing page that they had and turned it into something really highly focused that really answered the user's concerns and objections that they might have had. Now just so you know, a landing page can also be called a product detail page or a PDP page as well. Now the results of this was a 79% increase in conversion rate when the new site went live, and also a big increase of 13% in the average order value as well. So the two big metrics that we really want to increase with a decent product landing page. Now, as part of this, I'm going to break down what we did in the case study. I'm going to share with you the strategies that we went through at the very start, along with all the way through. And over the next few minutes, I really want to give you the essential elements that you're going to need to increase your landing page potential and therefore skyrocket those conversion rates. So as I mentioned, we've worked with a gaming company, and this gaming company sells gaming furniture, gaming chairs, gaming desks, gaming beds even. So it does a lot of different things in this space, right? And they'd come to us because they needed to increase their conversion rates and obviously sell more. So the landing page I'm going to take you through today is one of their best sellers. It's a really nice chair that we're going to be running through, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But the first thing to really highlight before we start any of this work is really around figuring out what the main concerns that the user would have is. Trying to look at what those are in detail is going to be the best overall place that we can start a project. So I'm going to use this as a bit of an example to explain what this is. So let's all just pretend for a second we're buying a t-shirt. Keep with me. This is all going to kind of relay into an increased conversion rate. But this is what most websites, most e-commerce landing pages are set up for, right? So they'll reference the size, they might have some color options. If they're good, they might have some overall reviews. They'll obviously show a price, and then they'll obviously have some photos of it so you can see if it's going to fit, etc. This is pretty much what most e-commerce stores are made up of. Now, actually, with a little bit of additional research, you can really start to consider some slightly softer objections, some softer concerns, and just that inner monologue that goes on in your own head when you're trying to think about something that you're going to buy. Now we're going to use the t-shirt as the example, and then we'll move on to the gaming chair afterwards. So actually, and this isn't even a full list, right, because I couldn't fit them all onto this chart, but actually you can see some of them are still on here. So we've got the budget that's being highlighted over here on that side, but actually the persona who's looking at the t-shirts might not be buying for themselves. They want to consider if this is gift worthy. They might also be really concerned with how durable the overall product is. They also might have concerns around, how easy is it to wash? Can I put it in the tumble dryer afterwards? Do I have to hand wash it? You also need to consider things like, what is my body type? These are all things that people will be thinking about when we're looking at an item. Now, some of these will be able to be visually answered just with decent photography, but some of them we need to do a little bit more salesmanship. And the best converting e-commerce landing pages are going to be the ones that really understand those concerns that the user's thinking about, and then translating that into beautiful design. To continue on this list, how versatile is it? Again, some of these won't be down to anything in particular. Image quality is a really good one. Is it just a random photo of the t-shirt on its own? Is someone wearing it? Are there shots from the back, different angles? Can I get an understanding of the overall quality? What's the environmental considerations? Those are really going to be important as well. Simple things like style, size, quality. Another one is just the overall color of the photo. If you've taken 5 photos and the color looks slightly different in all of them, that could be a major concern to the user, and therefore they might not feel comfortable to buy. They also might want to understand what the overall returns policy is, or how quickly it can be delivered. So all of these items on here just really need to be considered. Now, the reason we're doing this little kind of mini lesson to start with is once we know some of these lessons that we've taken this project through, I can now show you the gaming chair and show you the thought process that's gone into why the page is laid out in the way that it is. So this section is the real gold. The case study that I'm going to show you in a second is going to also represent that. Now, as a reminder, before we go into the case study, we did an increase of 79% in conversion rate, and we also saw an average order value increase of just over 13% as well. So a big overall lift, and that's what we want to really focus on today. So here is Xrocker. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, this is going to be one of their overall best sellers, but we can kind of run through these different elements that they have. Now overall, we obviously want some really classic design things on here. So we do want the imagery to really stand out. There's going to be some key things like making sure there's a nice color contrast that I've referenced in some of my other videos to really highlight to the user to add to cart. Now we actually did some split testing on this add to cart to buy it now, which one should stand out more. And actually we want people to buy more than one item from them. So the decision is that it should be the add to cart, but that could be different for everyone. Do we want to speed up that buying journey and allow them just to instantly add to cart and buy, or should we allow them to add to cart and continue to peruse the site? It's obviously your decision. We've got some classic imagery and classic items happening here. So, we've got some information around it. They can open and close that, so we're not too visually overstimulating them or making them overly bored with that information. And we have things like breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are going to be really, really useful for search engines so that you can see those individual links, but also useful for the user to click back between them. And we've also even just got the reviews really high up the page, right near the title, so the user has an understanding of how credible this item is. Now the great thing is Xrocker has spent a lot of money on imagery and video, so that makes my life a lot easier, right? But what you're going to see here is as I start to scroll down, two things are going to happen. The left hand side is doing something called parallaxing, which means they're actually moving at different speeds, but it looks like the right hand side is static. So that means I've got all these lovely imagery that I can look through, but the call to action, the thing I want the user to interact with, is always on screen. And that's because the user might go, yes, that's really interesting, I want to buy this now. And if we don't give them that button there and then, by the time they've scrolled up, we may lose them. We're talking seconds here, but this can make a big difference. The other thing that is happening is as we go further down the page, you'll see that this right-hand block gets a little bit smaller. Now that isn't particularly, it doesn't really make a huge difference to my very large 32-inch monitor, but if you're on a laptop, it means that this condensed down, it doesn't take up as too much space, but the key information is still on show to the user. Now these are going to be great because we've answered a couple of overall concerns around it. But as we go further down, there may be some considerations that the person may have. So anyone that's bought a chair, they'll obviously have considerations about how adjustable this is. So we're answering those in a really simple way. If we just have large blocks of text, the user isn't likely to read it. So little icon, title, small description is a great way to get this across. So it's got adjustable this, it's got the backrest that tilts, it's got multi-directional armrests. So we're answering any concerns they have about how movable this is, especially if they're going to be playing games for a long period of time. We then have some more detailed shots of basically more like in situ, in use photos that you get to see, and it's nice to break those down. And actually Xrocker use those in a few different ways. We also have some upsell options as we're going here, so they can add these to cart as they're going and then continue down. And they also might have some overall considerations around the overall kind of fit of what's going to happen on there. We also have kind of detailed shots of different elements. So, is it going to be leather? Is it pleather? Is it plastic? Does it have a rough grip? Does it not? Is it soft? We try to run through all of those to answer any concerns. Another thing might just be overall credibility. So we need to make sure we're answering that. And we also have video that can be showcased so the user can watch that. They can answer more objections in a really visual way. Another one might be, okay, well, this looks really nice, but how hard is it going to be to assemble? I've had different varying levels of ones that click together really easily and ones that's in hundreds of different parts that you have to put together. So being able to either watch a video guide or a product manual is going to be really, really beneficial to answering those other concerns. The other one might be, I need to know the overall dimensions for two reasons. I need to know the overall dimensions because I'm tall or short, or I've got a very specific size space that this needs to fit into, so the wheels underneath can't be too large or the armrest can't be too far out. So I need to have an understanding of that. And again, we are answering those objections in a really visual manner, but also with the overall items. If they wanted to copy and paste them, they can as well. You need to think about that. Other ones might just be overall technical specs. Some people are going to be really into this, some people aren't. You do find that with gaming chairs that some people get really into this, they want to know all the individual details of them, so we are referencing that. And obviously even just down to a max size of weight that the user can be. We obviously also then have other options they might be interested in. If we've got them this far down, they've seen all those potential things and they haven't signed up, maybe this is what we need to do. Maybe we need to give them some options to go through. And this is why it becomes really, really important for you to consider, right? So going back to the t-shirt that we've discussed, we've got this overall work that we need to do to figure out these objections, to figure out these concerns that the user might have, and then we need to come up with really nice visual ways of answering those and then shortening that buying journey if we can. Now, hopefully that was really useful. YouTube is going to recommend another video of mine just over here, so please do watch that if you have a little bit of time. If you can like and subscribe, that would also be amazing. And if you wanted another video all around this objection handling and how to learn more around that, those concerns, and how to figure out and research that, please do let me know in the comments. I'm happy to do a video on that as well. Thanks guys, bye.